This is a place.
This is the place.
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Thank you for listening to This is a Place podcast. My name is Brandon.
I'm Nate.
And we want to wish everyone Manatee Appreciation Day.
Manatee Appreciation Day.
Is that an upgrade from our previous intro that we're not allowed to release to the world?
Right. What do you do on Manatee Appreciation Day?
You just appreciate the manatees. Like, what more is there to say? Don't you just love manatees?
They are like the cow of the sea.
The cow, yeah. They are the cow of the sea. We have a guest today who might know a little bit more about manatees than Nate and I. There's a famous manatee. You're really good with this stuff. Matt, what is the name of that famous Disney manatee?
I cannot think of it. You're referring to Epcot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the name.
Well, I'm really upset that you don't know this, but I will tell you the name. It's Lil Joe. Hey, that kind of relates to our original introduction that we can't release to the world.
Yeah, Lil Joe. Is it little or is it Lil?
Lil.
L-I-L,
L
Lil.
apostrophe. Lil Joe.
Lil
Lil
Joe.
Wayne.
Lil Joe, Lil Wayne. Yeah, they're a manatee, famous manatee is in you said it's in Epcot. Wouldn't it be in like the animal kingdom? Where's he at?
I think he's in Living with the Land, or when you get off of Living with the Land, there's a
Okay.
giant tank there. I think. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. It says Epcot. Lou and Lil Joe are the famous manatees. So make sure you're appreciating your manatees today. Give some love to Lil Joe. I don't think we have a manatee in the state of Utah at all. I've never seen one at the zoo. Can I say that with
The only
definitively
place
say
would be
that?
Oh yeah. I don't think there's one at the zoo, and if they had one, it'd probably be at the aquarium.
Right.
And I don't think they have an aquarium large enough to
Fit the cow
hold
of the
one.
sea.
Yeah.
It's too bad. They're kind of fun creatures.
But there's got to be one in the Great Salt Lake, though, right?
Somewhere. Yeah.
Have you seen the video of the manatee that just swims right into the glass and his face like smushes up? Then he just like slowly bounces back.
Mm-mm.
It's pretty entertaining. Maybe
I'll have to
that's Lil
watch it.
Joe.
Maybe.
Okay.
Manatees are just kind of cool because they're funny looking. They have a funny face. They're just kind of just chill, you know? Everything we aspire to be.
I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure you should not say that they have a funny face on the day we're supposed to appreciate them.
Fair.
So,
all right, I'll cut that out.
well,
Manatees have just a cute face. I really just appreciate how they look.
Well, they look like the old guy with the mustache that has a hunchback.
Wilford Brimley.
There you go. That type of guy.
They're like the Wilford Brimley of the sea.
They are.
They do look like him. Oh my gosh. Rest in peace, man, but
Or what's his name? Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
yes, I see it. I see it.
We're never going to get Andy Reid on the podcast now. Look what you've done. And if we're not going to get Andy Reid, there's no way we're going to get Taylor Swift
Or Travis Kelce.
or Travis. Because they're all connected. All connected.
There was an NHL coach that was nicknamed the Walrus because of his mustache. And he did have a face of a walrus. And there was somebody that looked exactly like him that would sit behind him in the glass, like behind the glass, up behind the bench. And identical.
A walrus and a manatee got to be pretty closely related, right? What's the difference between the two?
Size?
The tusks. Yeah. Does Andy Reid look more like a manatee or a walrus?
It could go either way.
Could go either way.
I think the problem with the walrus is the tusk, right?
Mm-hmm. A manatee kind of looks like a walrus minus the tusks, but the
Yeah,
walrus has more of like a mustache look to him.
right.
This is not the direction I thought the podcast was going to go to today.
No,
But Matt,
we
you
we
did
went
bring up.
we went down a weird fish hole.
Yes, we did. But Matt, you referenced the NHL, which is kind of what we're talking about today. We're talking more about the ECL, ECHL,
ECHL,
ECHL.
the East Coast Hockey League.
That makes sense. That we have an East Coast Hockey League team in the state of
Yes.
Utah. Right.
Yes. Yes, it does. And we were actually one of the original teams to start the ECHL.
Mm.
Kind of.
And that's why we brought you, because you're the expert on the research.
Yeah, I've done my
And
research.
we're getting pretty close here. It's kind of funny. Unintentionally, we have made this. You're going to get a couple of Utah sports related episodes over the next couple weeks. And that all started with the last week we talked about March Madness and all that kind of stuff. So today we're talking about hockey. We want to talk today about the Grizzlies. The Utah Grizzlies are currently our hockey team. Well, we have more than just the Grizzlies, right? Isn't there another one?
Well, it depends how far down you want to go.
Well, right. I mean, I guess you got all the adult leagues and
No. There's another one.
Yeah, we have 2 junior teams, maybe 3.
What's that?
right.
What's the other one
might
called?
have-
The rep. It starts with an R, doesn't it?
Oh, the Renegades?
Something like that. Maybe not.
We have in Ogden, there's the Ogden Mustangs. And then there's I can't remember, a team in Provo and I think a team in Park City. And they're in a junior league. And then the University of Utah, they have a D1 college club hockey, and they're actually, I don't know if they're there now or going, but they're going to nationals. So a pretty good D1 team.
Well, the junior teams don't get paid. They pay to play.
Outliers. That's who it is.
Oh, the Outliers. Yeah,
What is that?
that's right. That's the same league as the Mustangs. It's a junior B league.
Okay. So they're much further down the rung, but the one we focus on so far till we get our NHL team, our NHL, the Coyotes next year, and I win the bet against Matt. But until that happens, we have the Grizzlies, and we want to talk about them. And they're just about pretty close here, going to be finishing up their season. Still TBD if they're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. Matt is shaking his head.
I don't think so. I think they're 10th in their conference. So it's possible. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what their playoff format is. I'm not as familiar.
Neither am I. I have no knowledge of it whatsoever. And I wouldn't even know if they're in the playoffs, to be honest with you. That's not any slight to the Grizzlies, but you go on the ESPN app and you can't even see their stats or anything on there. You have to have a whole separate app to see the details of the ECHL teams.
This was my dad's biggest complaint growing up about the Grizzlies. He's like, nobody knows how they're doing, if they're good or not. We have no idea.
They don't talk about them.
Nobody ever talks about them. So there were times when we were really good and there's times when we've been really bad. I went to a playoffs game in 2011 probably. And I think it was after my mission. I can't remember now. Anyway, it was a playoff game against Alaska, and there were 2,100 people there. There were whole sections. I took pictures of whole entire sections from the glass all the way to the very top that were empty. Nobody was sitting in them. This was the playoffs. Just completely empty. It was the craziest, most bizarre thing.
Hmm.
And then 2 nights later, they played again and it was sold out. So it was just strange.
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies obviously get more attendance during the weekends because it's kind of more of like going to a play or a show.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of people that are season ticket holders, I would assume, compared to other sports for the Grizzlies. So it's tough. Yeah, there's some games you go to where you you could sneak all the way down to the glass because there's nobody there.
Hmm.
And like you said, the next game you go to, it's full. So it's not super consistent.
And if you look at their schedule, the majority of their games are on weekends or Friday nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't even actually know how many Sunday games they have. So they do try to put them on the weekends so people will come. But again, during the playoffs, it was in the middle of the week. Nobody was there.
You guys, obviously, you've been to games. You mentioned Matt. You've been to many games. Nate, has it been a minute?
It's been a year or so, maybe two since I've been. My we've had him on the podcast. My brother-in-law works for Maverick, and I don't know if he still does, but he let us use the suite tickets a few times, and the kid loved that a few
Oh
years
yeah,
ago because you could buy like unlimited popcorn for like $15, and they just bring this big bowl of popcorn, and you know I love popcorn,
that's a pretty
so
sweet deal.
it is. It's a sweet, sweet deal. But it's funny because talking about not a lot of people there, like you're in the suite and then the whole section below you is empty. So you can just hop over the suite wall and go down and watch the game and then come back up to your suite and
It's like a
get
bees
your
game. It's the
popcorn.
same thing.
Yeah, B games are this. Yeah, yeah, they're this. It's the same. It's
More
the
to come.
same
More to
idea.
come on that later.
Yeah, that's why it's hard. I think it's hard to be a Bees fan, and I think it's hard to be a Grizzlies fan for the fact that you can't really build a team because you're really building players to go up.
Hmm. Someone gets
And
too good, they're
so,
gonna move up.
yeah, yeah, if you're players. So, and the Bees is fun to watch because you'll have players come down to for rehab. So you get to see some of the major leaguers come down and play. And those games usually do draw a big crowd. Um, Grizzlies right now are they two steps away from the Avalanche?
Yep. Yeah. So there's
So
the Colorado Eagles, which is the AHL. And then below them is the Grizzlies, which is ECHL.
so yeah, so you don't really ever get. I mean, it was fun when they were. What did you say?
AHL.
AHL, because then it was fun to see players who were either rehabbing or just they're trying to develop. So you knew they could be in the NHL any day.
That
But
was
now it's
when
like
Gretzky came down and played. He played at the Salt Palace, didn't he?
I don't know. Did
I
he?
have no idea.
I think he did.
He
What?
did at one point because he was part ownership with the Coyotes, the Arizona Coyotes. And that's when the Grizzlies changed their colors from green and black, which were the Dallas Stars colors. They changed it to red or maroon. So that happened when we were affiliated with the Coyotes. And I know Gretzky did come down, but I didn't know about a game.
I think I heard that he's played in Utah before, back when they used to play at the Salt Palace. I don't know if it was with in the days of the Golden Eagles
Hmm.
or what. Look into it, Matt. Do the research, figure it out. But either way, talking about the Grizzlies, and I went. I One of my earliest sports memories was actually at a Grizzlies game, and I don't know if I am completely. The lights and the stage were bigger because I was little, but what I remember is it was a Grizzlies game. Felt like the crowd was packed, and the stands were all full, and it was a game that went down to um,
Shootout?
a shootout. Yeah, and I hated when the teams would score because it was too loud, and I was little. I didn't like the train sound, as I always would call it. But it was a shootout, and it was amazing, and the Grizzlies won. So I've always got a little special place in my heart for that experience. And then I've been to a couple other games over the years, but I did most recently went on a Monday, So not the weekend, but it was on President's Day. So it was during the day. And
Yeah, those games are fun too. I used to do that every year. Go to the President's Day game, the middle of the
yeah.
day.
Mm-hmm. It was like at 3 o'clock. Took the kids, got it from the Get Out Pass. So that's who we should really get as a sponsor for this podcast, dude. The Get Out
We really
Pass.
should.
That should be a thing. But I took my Get Out Pass, so I've got 2 passes, so I got 2 tickets for free, and then just had to buy the kids tickets. So very economical. They're not terribly expensive, but still is expensive enough that you're not going to go to every game every week that they have them.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who do that, but like I said, it's not like you get for the Jazz
Yeah.
or even BYU or Utah football games.
And I think it would pick up. Like, I think if we had an NHL team, like, we'd see the people come out. And
Oh yeah, 100%.
it
Well,
is
you
hard
could
with
even
the
see,
Grizzlies.
remind me again, what's the one right below that?
AHL, American
A
Hockey League.
AHL. When we were affiliated with AHL or part of that, there's definitely a bigger attendance at the games. And the minute they dropped down, it was almost like it went from full house to crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think like now, like I just said earlier in the conversation, it now becomes more of, oh, let's go to a play or a movie or let's go watch a hockey game. So
Or a Jazz game.
it's not necessarily fans going and watching. It's more of an experience for people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of sad. I mean, it was fun, like I said, when they were a bigger team and more excitement. But the fun thing, the flip side of the coin, the lower the level of play, the scrappier the players are,
True.
and the more fights tend to happen. So it is exciting to watch that aspect. But like I said, it's hard to say, like, you can't really build a team from season to season when you're developing the players, not necessarily a team.
And they still do have players come down. So when we went to the game, I went with my brother as well. And he's a big Penguins fan. And the team that they are playing is affiliated with the Penguins, some Vermont team or something. I don't remember where they're from. But what were they called? It's a really weird name. Anyway, they had their goalie has played for the Penguins before, so he was excited to see that, and he was like checking, like, I think this guy played. So there's still times you can see somebody from the NHL that's come down or stepped down. So that's kind of fun, but it's not like it used to be, as you mentioned, Nate.
No.
But
Were they the Lumberjacks?
no,
Not the Vermont Lumberjacks.
maybe it's Virginia.
From
Nearling? Never.
oh, the Nailing Whalers?
Yeah, the Whalers.
The Montes?
Yeah, the Nailing Whalers.
Yeah.
My cousin played for them.
Hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to Ryan Furness. Never
Shout out.
hear this. But yeah, he played for them and sent me a picture of him like in a shootout or a penalty shot, probably because they didn't have shootouts back then. And oh, it's the Wailing Nailers, not Nailing Whalers. Still weird. But yeah, the Wailing Nailers. It is more common for a goalie to go from the ECHL to the NHL. It's not very likely when there's players for obvious reasons. There's only so many goalies in a system. But if the
Yeah.
NHL is pulling up a player, well, they have the whole AHL team to pull up before they pull up anybody from the ECHL.
I'll be right back, guys. 1 second.
Yeah, I remember that game a year or two ago where there was no goalie and they pulled the Zamboni driver in to fill in for the
Maple Leafs. It was
Yeah,
the
was
Maple
that it?
Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. And it was Scott. No, not Scott Darling. That was another one. Oh, what was his name? He wore number 1. Yeah, he was the Zamboni driver for the Maple Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is the NHL. And got pulled in like halfway through the game. So he had to finish second period and play all of third period. And Carolina still beat Toronto. That was a few years ago. But it does happen. They're called E-Bugs, emergency backup goalie. And so, but now it's more of like a college student in that city, a college goalie will be an E-Bug or something like that. So yeah,
Because
it
I mean,
does
really, I mean,
occasionally
most
happen.
rosters only have two goalies, possibly three, right?
They're
I
almost
mean,
always with, I mean, yeah, they have like 7 or 8 in their system. Maybe not that. 4 or 5, I guess, in their system. So you're right. They usually have a goalie that's playing and then a backup goalie on the bench. But then if it was like the day of a game and they needed and their one of their goalies got hurt, they could just fly out their other goalie from their
right. Yeah.
AHL team. So, but
But
yeah,
if the
and
timing is like he gets sick like an hour or two before the game,
yep.
then you're kind of SOL. Do you remember? I mean, it's not hockey, but that happened for the Denver Broncos a few years ago, where the COVID protocol and they didn't have a quarterback, so they used like their wide receiver who played quarterback in high school or something step in. And that's what it kind of reminds me of. It's like, well, we have to
Who's ever thrown a ball before?
exactly who who knows what hockey pads are or goalie
Yeah,
pads are.
I agree with everything you guys have said.
yeah, you would. So yeah, I do really like her red hair. It is very nice, but I would never say it to his face.
Excuse me, what? Who had sex with whose wife?
Well, you lost, so somebody had sex with somebody.
Hmm.
Anyway, what we were talking about is it just being a lot more likely for goalies to go up and down from ECHL
Hmm.
to NHL. Jordan Binnington, who's the Blues goalie, probably the most hated goalie, but this year he's been really good and he hasn't done any bad stuff. He his story was popular because he came into the NHL when the Blues were terrible. In the season they won the Stanley Cup and he took them to the cup, was one of the very few goalies to win as a rookie goalie and was the first goalie to win all 16 playoff games, the first rookie goalie. So, but like that same season, or I think that same season, he was playing in the ECHL. And the funny thing is he was loaned to the ECHL team affiliated with the Bruins, and that's who he ended up playing against in the Stanley Cup final. So a goalie will move around is more, but yeah, when you're in the ECHL, we're not seeing players come down. On the Grizzlies website, though, they do have a list of the players that have played there that have been in the NHL and current players. So that's pretty cool. There's quite a few and
Yeah,
a few familiar names I see. Steve
yeah. I
Ott.
guess you. Mhm.
Go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, you could go there, and then maybe somebody you watch play for a season could end up in the NHL. But that's the same with watching any college sport too. They could all go pro.
Yeah, that's true.
This isn't a podcast to hate on the Grizzlies by any means. We appreciate them for what they are.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I love Grizzlies. I love Grizzly games. And the cool thing about hockey, and going back to your like comment on the first experience with Grizzlies, not my first experience, but highlight experience for me was like my first like date, like official date with my wife was at a Grizzlies game. It was a
Oh.
group date.
And you guys just
And
celebrated your 20th anniversary.
20, yeah. So
Congratulations.
we did it. Um, but my point is like, so people, my wife's not really a sports person too. Like I don't take her to the BYU football games. I think she would go to a Jazz game for the experience, but at the time she liked hockey. And it's fun for I think people if they're not really into sports or understand sports, hockey is really simple
Hmm.
to kind of understand. It's kind of the same concept as soccer. Soccer's the same way. Like they're just trying to put the ball or the puck into the net. But the problem with soccer, it's so slow, it's so boring, in my opinion. Where hockey, it moves fast. It's
It's
like
one of the most
basketball, it moves
fast-paced
fast.
games.
It's fast. Unfortunately, you don't score as many points, so it's not as exciting in that aspect. But when they do score a goal, especially at a Grizzlies game, it's so fun with the the loud horn and getting excited. And I love the chant. And
Mhm.
hockey's just a different sport all the way around. What other sport can you literally throw a punch at somebody, give him a bloody nose, and you don't get suspended, fined,
Go in
or
prison.
or kicked off the team? Like you go to a box for a few
I
minutes
don't get
and
it. Like
that's it.
you're already getting injured so much in hockey. Your teeth are all falling out from the puck hitting your face. Like it's probably the sport you should not have people fighting for extra injuries. But yeah, why can't you do that in football? It's only hockey that lets you fight.
Could you imagine football fights at both? Problem with football fights is because you got guys anywhere from 400
Yeah,
pounds to 100 pounds, where hockey is usually a pretty certain body type.
right. Just saying it would be
It's
more
just
fun
fun. It's just
because
fun.
so the game we went to, they did lose, but we did get the chance to see 2 goals. So we got to cheer and have a good time. That was what I was hoping for the kids, at least, right? And they love seeing the bear, the mascot, the grizzly bear,
What's his name?
and
Brandon.
Grizz.
Say his name.
Say his name.
Say his name,
What's his
Brandon.
name? I don't know it.
Cosmo?
Are you guys kidding me?
We don't know the name.
No.
What's the mascot's name?
Grisby.
It's Grisby. Yeah.
I was close. I said Grizz.
No, that's
No.
not the same.
Grisby? That's his name.
Grisby.
Oh, well, I wish I knew that.
My friend was,
What? So
well,
I'll
I should
just
say
cut that out.
a hockey friend was the mascot for a while back in the day.
Yeah,
So
good old
it was
Grisby.
kind of annoying. So he and another guy split Grisby's responsibilities.
Hmm.
So it was really annoying when we'd go to a game because we went to games a lot back in the day, and he would see us because then he would just harass the crap out of us knowing he could. Because he tells me too, like you put on that mascot uniform and you can do, you've laws don't apply to you at that point, right? You can do whatever the heck you want and you can get away with it, and people just laugh it off or whatever.
Just
So
a side tangent. I went to the Harlem Globetrotters game last night, and
did
it's
you?
this. Yeah, I did. It's the same thing. Like when you're a Harlem Globetrotter, you're a mascot. They just don't wear
Oh
masks.
yeah, yeah. Did you go with your family?
I took Collins.
Oh, fun. I was like really debating that too. Every time they come, I'm always
I've never
like,
gone.
I got really, I've been a bunch of times growing up, and then I went a few times as an adult, but I took my kids to another Harlem Globetrotter like
Hmm.
team that came to like Granger High a few years ago, and they loved it. So ever since, I'm like, man, I should take them to Globetrotter games. But
It was fun. It
anyways,
was a lot of fun.
it
I
sounds like a
mean,
lot of fun.
Collins got bored of it quickly, but I was having a good time. I was like,
Oh yeah,
this is
it's been
amazing.
years. It's one thing you can't. It's like Forgotten Carols. You can't see it every year because it's too repetitive.
Yeah.
But once in a while, it's pretty fun. So Grizzlies, back to
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies.
Back to the Grizzlies.
Speaking of kids, when I used to take my kids to the games, uh, Rocky, my oldest, when he was younger, loved it because of the fact that it's not super crowded. Anybody who's putting any effort to try to get in the Jumbotron or the big TV, I guess you call it, is going to make it on.
Yeah.
So he'd make it on like 4 or 5 times a game, and he would just love it. And then we go to a Jazz game, and he'd be so disappointed that he couldn't. I'm like, dude, you're competing against
Different
20,000
stage.
20,000 people compared to maybe 500. So,
Fair.
but it's fun.
Well, we do have our expert on today, Matt, the
Oh,
research expert.
I thought I was the hockey expert.
No,
My
I'm not
bad.
saying you're not a hockey expert. We have got a research expert. And Nate, if you want to call yourself research expert, I'm gonna fight you pretty hard on that.
It's true. I
I'm
know
your
where to find the
research
research.
expert.
I can, okay.
But then I have a
So
research.
are you really a research expert or you're a reading expert? Because I just
Um,
have you read the material.
okay, all right, fair.
All right.
So you send me the stuff, I read it, and then I send it to Matt and he researches it. So Matt,
Fact checker. What's good?
fact checker. Yeah, you're a fact checker, Matt.
Yes, I am paid by the government.
So can you give us the facts of the Grizzlies? Do you have the Grizzly history, the Grizzly facts
Sure,
to keep
I
us
do.
honest?
Okay. There are 2 different Utah Grizzlies teams, and that's confusing.
What?
So we're going to start with the first Utah Grizzlies team, which actually was the Denver Grizzlies, and they played in the IHL. in 94, 95. And this is when the Colorado Avalanche moved from Quebec. And then the next year, and that year they won the Turner Cup, which is the championship for the IHL. The next year they came to Salt Lake. They played at the Delta Center for 3 seasons, I think. And they also won the Turner Cup that year as well. So that's when they had those sweet goalies with the sweet jerseys. It was a Grizzly with a goalie stick. Those are like the old school jerseys. And that team, they played in the IHL, which was below the NHL, and then the IHL, which was I believe it was the Intermountain Hockey League. That league folded, so they got absorbed by the AHL.
That's the one I was thinking. IHL. I couldn't remember. Sorry.
Okay. That's why it was probably confusing. Yeah. And so then they played in the AHL. They were here until 2005. And like I said, we were affiliated with the Dallas Stars, which would explain our green and black colors. And
Yeah.
then
I like the colors. I'm gonna say,
yeah, they're good.
They're good colors.
I like them. Then they went to the maroon and sand white, like an off-white, for the Phoenix Coyotes or the Arizona Coyotes. But that didn't last too long because they were then sold and became the Lake Erie Monsters. So Brandon and I are pretty familiar with Lake Erie. And that's when the second team came in, because then we still had the Utah Grizzlies the next season, but it was not the AHL team. It was the ECHL team. And they had come from Lexington. They were the Lexington Men O' War. What a team name. So that team had moved around a ton. That team started in 1981 as the Nashville South Stars. And they went to the Virginia Lancers, Roanoke Valley Rebels, Roanoke Valley Rampage, Huntsville Blast, Tallahassee Tiger Sharks. What is that name? Macon Whoopee. What is this? The Macon Whoopee were a professional ice hockey team based in Macon, Georgia. Am I saying that right? Macon. What's the Whoopee? Anyway, and then they went to Lexington and then became the Utah Grizzlies in 2005 in the ECHL. So for a lot of people, they didn't even realize there was a switch, that this was like a new, they understood that maybe they understood the AHL left, but this was like a whole new organization.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about the Grizzlies, right? Is that technically the Grizzlies have come and gone, but the name has stayed. So people don't realize it's a different,
Yep.
a whole new thing, right?
Different team, different league. So yeah. And they, like we said, they still compete in the ECHL. So there are 2 leagues that are associated with the NHL, which is the AHL, the American Hockey League, and that's right below the NHL, and then the ECHL. So if you're an NHL player and you have a contract with an NHL team, you have to either be playing in the ECHL or the AHL. But yeah, that's the history of the Grizzlies. And a few fun facts. My friend is the photographer for them. He might have even been promoted to like ECHL. He might travel because he traveled quite a bit. And then one of my best friends growing up, he was a goalie on my team, is now one of the linesmen. And I was just looking at the Grizzlies website and there's a picture of him breaking up a fight. So shout out to Petey. He'll never hear this.
It's Petey closer to my age, Matt?
Nope. He is my age.
Never mind.
His name is Craig Peterson. That's why we call him Petey.
Okay.
And he sometimes refs my games, although I don't play so much anymore. But
well, that was, yeah, when I played ice, there was a lot of referees that also would referee the Grizzly games. So it's fun to like go to the games and see him on the Grizzly ice and then give him a hard time the next time you saw him at your own game.
yeah. And growing up when they were the AHL, one of my coaches when I was young, Steve Metcalf, he was also a ref, a linesman. And so when we'd go to games with him and he wasn't working that night, and he would sit with us. I remember this one time where he's like, "These guys are gonna fight right now," and they fought. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, "These two are gonna fight right now," and they fought. Like he could just tell from what was going on the ice who was gonna fight and when it was coming and everything. So it was fun to go. Growing
Yeah,
up as a kid, we
that's
went all the time with our hockey friends
hmm
and our team. I don't know if well, I know for a fact we'd get some free tickets. And then growing up also, we would pull we would go with my dad and we'd go to the players parking lot and there'd be security there. And my dad would always, without fail, we'd pull up and he'd say, "Hey, we're here for the Chuck a Puck. They told us to park in this parking lot. And these are just volunteers." And they're like, "Okay." And they just let us through. So we parked in the players parking lot for free my entire childhood. So way to go, Dad. Think of all that money you saved us.
So he probably helped out once with the chuck a puck, and he's like, "Ooh, this is a secret to get in."
No, we did Chuck a Puck all the time. They did not tell you to park in that parking lot.
Oh, you mean you helped out with the chuck a puck?
Yeah, we would do it all the time.
Oh,
But that wasn't part of the deal. It was just his confidence and these people
Oh
were
yeah,
Just
volunteering.
walk anywhere with a ladder and they'll let you in.
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
He'd
Or if
just
you
pull right up there and be like, "They told us to park here." And it's like right off a busy street. So they don't want to, there's probably that feeling of like, "Oh, I don't want to tell them no because there's oncoming traffic that's really fast. Let's just get them out of the way." So they just like wave us right through.
Nice.
Pro tip for anybody going to a Grizzlies game.
However,
Good
it's like
luck.
we're here for the chuckarama.
Well, that we went to San Jose for we were there for a hockey tournament and we saw the Sharks play. It's been so long I don't remember who they played, but we pulled up and it was my dad and my friend and his dad. And my friend's dad, very similar to my dad, pulled up and this lady's like, that was taking the cash. She's like, "Hey, we're actually here for a hockey tournament. They told us parking was free." And she's like, "No, they didn't." And we just all started laughing so hard. So we paid for parking. Yeah, doesn't work everywhere.
I just was curious, so I Googled it. How much do you guys think a ECHL player, or we could say a Grizzly player, makes per year?
Grizzly player, gosh, I would put it in the probably $200 a game or something.
Oh wow, you're going very
It's a
game
yearly
level.
thing,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's like well,
I found it as a
Or
monthly thing. So it might
maybe
be like
monthly.
the months they play. So I'd assume they don't get paid in the off season. Maybe they do. I don't know.
I think my guess would be about 50,000 because I
Oh,
know
not no way.
some of them have to work
Oh
because they
yeah,
don't make
most
enough.
of them have like host families and stuff like that where they'll
You're
like
you're pretty
sorry.
close with the median salary. So it's the median pay is 5,000 a month. So it would come out to about 60,000 a year if it was
Well, but that's only when they're playing
only when they're playing, right? So how many months are they playing? 7?
6 months.
6 months.
They're
So
probably oh, I don't know how long a season is because I was going to say NHL it's October to April and then playoffs, but that's obviously way different.
I don't know.
I think theirs is pretty similar, October through
It might
April.
be
I just find it
if they
interesting. It
make the
doesn't matter,
playoffs.
but just thinking about the time commitment, everything, it's not great money.
But they're
No,
also young kids that
That's
are
true.
playing hockey for money.
Hoping
gonna
to
go-
eventually get to the NHL.
yeah,
I think if you're playing in the ECHL in your 20s, you probably recognize you're not making it to the NHL.
Mm.
It's my guess, unless you're a goalie
I'm
again.
I'm still holding out hope for me.
You can still do it, Nate.
There's always, yeah, in my old men's league, there's always scouts in the crowd watching us play. Is it all right if we do a segment brought to you by Magic Candle Company?
There is a void filled with that affiliate link. So maybe me and Nate can take that over for our podcast.
I can
Magic
change the
Company.
name for you guys.
The point is, again, we have started with our reviews at the request of one of our listeners. Shout out to Veronica. She requested that we do Google reviews again. So I've got some Google reviews for who, you ask? not the Maverick Center, not for the East Center, but for the Grizzlies. I found Google reviews for the Utah Grizzlies Pro Hockey
Oh
Club.
boy, this is gotta be fun.
All right, here's a review for you guys. My fiance purchased tickets for the game on December 28th. We both had a rare night off together and wanted to take some work friends to the game with us. The game has been rescheduled and none of us are able to go because of work obligations, and we are told we cannot get a refund. It's not our fault the game was rescheduled. People buy tickets to specific dates for a reason. We are out $175. Not happy at all. The rating doesn't even deserve 1 star. Oh, and the kicker part, the company we all work for sponsors the Grizzlies.
Hold on. 2 tickets, or they're buying tickets for all their friends?
I don't know.
That's a lot of money.
$175. That was that's a lot of money for a Grizzlies
I think they're
game.
stretching that a bit.
If they did buy him for all their work friends, fair. That's fair.
I don't even have that many work friends to spend that money.
I know. But the Grizzlies did respond and said, please email a phone number, our vice president can reach you. So at least they responded and were like, let's address this. But like the vice president, like even was gonna get involved. That's pretty high up. These are all pretty old reviews, by the way. People aren't actively reviewing the Grizzlies.
Right. Read the one from Gary. Has a picture.
That's a good one. Very disappointing.
Really, but it's just the picture is good. I'm like, why the picture? Sorry.
The picture's great. I love the picture edition. Very disappointing. I wish I had done something different. The Grizz got blown out at home. Embarrassing. Can't score. Won't fight. Really a waste of $50. Again, a lot of money.
Picture, I'm assuming, of
ticket.
Gary or maybe Gary's kid eating a sandwich
with a disappointed look on his face.
Oh, actually, no. It's at the Grizz. He's at the East Center. Or
yeah, there's
East Center.
the Bud
East
Light. Center? You just said East Center.
Wow. If you just said it a minute ago.
It's got a picture of a table in the background with a Bud Light. I don't think they keep that in a high school.
Wait, I've got a review here.
Do Max. Go down to Max.
Max? Oh yeah. I love that one. 1 star. 0 bears showed up.
Well, here's the deal too. People who do go to the Grizzly games, like often, like most of the games, they are usually, if you're going to do that, you're a diehard fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're a big time into hockey and you're one of those people who only are like Matt that think that hockey is the only sport that exists. I love hockey. I think it's one of the best sports in the world, but it's not the only sport that exists. So my little brother, who is 10 times more sarcastic and funnier than I could ever be, goes to the Grizzly game, and it was pretty crowded. And before it started, he turns to his buddy. He's like, I don't know how the Jazz are going to play on this ice. Guy behind him, in front of him, turns around and starts chewing him out. It's a freaking hockey game. It's just like, okay, buddy. It was obviously a joke. But
did you say you
I
had
think
one?
The Jazz B League team or the G League team plays there now.
Oh, do they?
At the Maverick Center. They moved from Salt Lake Community College to the Maverick Center now. The Stars?
The Stars, yeah.
Yeah, but were they playing at the Delta Center as well? Or maybe it is the Maverick Center. I think you're right.
I don't know.
And I think they've done the high school boys basketball championships there as well before. So
it was always so cool to play there and feel like we would always sit in the locker room that was attached to the bench. That was the coolest feeling ever. Anyway, I've got a review here. It says, the Grizzlies got a power play and we were all yelling shoot and they didn't shoot the puck. That's not a review. That's just a complaint. Brandon, do you know what I'm talking about?
It's very familiar to me. What is this from?
You sent me a video of a professional hockey player where he's like, when we're on power plays and people yell shoot, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what I'm here for. I forgot.
That's right. I remember that.
To all those Grizzly fans that do not understand hockey very well, you yelling shoot is not going to make them shoot. And they're probably not shooting for a good reason that you just don't understand. So
they might know a little bit better than you.
So they yell, Hail Mary, throw a Hail Mary.
So exactly.
Now that I love that. I love actually going to Grizzly games and just observing what people are yelling.
Oh yeah. Well, you see that in all sports and to be honest with you, it's usually the BYU sports because there's a lot of people who are not sports fans, but they're definitely BYU fans because of the affiliation with the church. And you just shake your head and like, just please, you're embarrassing me. Don't talk.
That was a
Like I've told the
3-point
story many
slam
times
dunk.
before. Yeah, well, I sat season tickets, BYU football. It was right after Tanner Mangum did like those two Hail Mary games in a row. And this girl behind us for the rest of the season, throw a Hail Mary. I'm like, it's the first quarter. There's still 10 minutes left. They're not going to throw a Hail Mary
You can
every.
do that at home on your game system, not
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So stuff like that happens all the time. And I can understand because hockey's not really as popular or well known in Utah as far as, I mean, there's a lot of sports fans in Utah, but not a whole lot of them have hopped on the hockey train. I think the part of the reason is we don't have an NHL team. Once we get an NHL team, you'll start seeing people understanding hockey more. But
Yeah,
you go, like I said, for the whole atmosphere, entertainment value, but there's not a whole lot of diehard Grizzly fans. There just isn't. And a lot of hockey fans. Hockey's growing quite a bit over the last 20 years or so, in my opinion, here in Utah, but
agreed.
it's still got a long ways to go. I mean, if you know what icing means, message the podcast and Brandon will give you a prize.
I can't tell people what it is.
What icing is, or even what offsides
I'll
is
explain
in
icing real
hockey,
fast, the way I understand it.
and it
So
has nothing to do
when
with cake.
when someone's skating really fast and then they kind of like
They spray
slide
you.
and they spray you with the ice,
That's exactly right.
like putting the
That's
icing on the
exactly it.
cake.
That's exactly right. They play on ice.
You've got it.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm gonna
my
read.
favorite thing.
Oh, sorry. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
it's
No,
a total different
you
tangent.
go.
Oh, I was just gonna say one of my favorite commercial series was, I can't remember who it was. It was NHL. Do you remember man? It's probably 20 years ago. They would always like take every sport and say this sport would be better if it were hockey. Remember
Oh
those
no, I don't
commercials?
remember that.
Like there's a goalie standing and sitting on top of a basketball hoop and just swats the ball away with his stick the whole time. It's like basketball would be better if it were hockey. But I do think other sports could pull some ideas from hockey. Like soccer would be so much more exciting if they made it kind of hockey rules. I think if you had regular like hockey offsides instead of the stupid soccer offsides, it would totally change soccer, in my opinion, make it much more exciting. But that's my soapbox for hating soccer and loving hockey.
Get back to our sponsored segment. I have one more bad review, and then we'll read a good one to finish it out. A positive review, because we don't want to just focus on the negative. This person said, "We need to do a better job protecting our barn. We need teams to know when they come to our barn that they're in for a rough game. They can't push our boys around."
That's right.
I just have to criticize it because shouldn't it be a cave? Bears live in caves, not barns.
No. Yeah, why has that never been
Is that a thing?
known as the den or the barn?
Den. Ah, yes, it could
Or
be a
the
den
cave.
or a cave. Welcome to the cave.
What, do they still come out of the cave? They still do the blowout cave that they come out of before the game?
They did not do that in the Monday
Ooh.
afternoon game I went to.
The budget must be tight now. They probably don't have it anymore.
I forgot about that.
That's pretty cool.
Inflatable cave they'd come out of.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the Ducks. Not anymore. It's the Honda Civic Center. But it used to be, or maybe just the Honda Center. I think it's the Honda Civic Center. It used to be the Duck Pond. That was pretty cool. But yeah. I think barn is just the easy go-to of what people call it.
Must be a hockey thing. I'm not in the hockey world. I don't understand the barn concept. But
Do they say in basketball, do they say we got to protect like the house?
yeah, that's a thing.
So same thing in hockey.
It's a
except
barn?
The house. Well, they say barn as the arena, but the house is like a specific spot in the ice. No shots from the house is what they say.
Gotcha. So maybe I'm just ignorant, but I think cave would work better. Cave or den. Just my opinion. The last one is from about a year ago. They said the Utah Grizzlies games are a lot of fun. We meet up with friends there, take the kids, or go for a date night. My favorite was military appreciation night. And the best part, parking is free. we have never had free parking at hockey games. Figured you appreciate that one, Nate. And the game obviously not free, but free parking.
Are there free parking now?
Yeah, I didn't pay for parking when I went.
What?
Oh,
Dude, you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
I've always paid.
You think the whole time the parking was free and my dad was pulling up, being like, they told us to park here, and they're like, this guy. They
All
just
right.
go around the corner, park closer.
They
but-
actually pay you $3 if you park over there.
Yeah. He's like, oh, they still were supposed to park here because it's, for the thing. They're like, sure. I mean, you could park here, you could park there. Doesn't matter to us.
Well, it was fun back in the Hollywood Connection days. Could you just go to park in the Hollywood Connection parking lot and they wouldn't know?
Well, it's free now. At least the game I went to was free. When I went to I had to go pick up the tickets in person when I went, and I parked for free. So I just think parking's free. And so that's a 5-star in our books.
It could have been. It could have been that day, maybe because it's President's Day and they wanted more people to come.
I was there the Friday before too to get my tickets, and I didn't have to pay for parking
during the game.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So
maybe they don't charge anymore, or maybe it was just like not worth their time to get those volunteer parking attendants. I don't know.
But either way, it speaks to, I think, the whole point of the episode. We like the Grizzlies. It's a fun time, even if you go just for a game and you're not a big Grizzlies fan. It's still a fun atmosphere and fun to go check them out.
Do they still yell at the end of the national anthem, "Home of the Grizzlies"?
I think I missed that part.
Do they still yell, shoot, shoot,
shoot. He shoots, he scores. Hey, Matt, you suck.
I know I sent you that video, but when I was in
one?
the moment and they had a power play, I was screaming the same thing. So it just must, the heat of the moment, just.
Do they do that still when they score?
What?
He shoots, he scores. Hey, whoever the goalie is. Hey, Matt, you suck.
Oh yeah, they do that.
I was reading on Reddit recently, and I never put this together. That's totally an AHL and an ECHL thing. Like,
really,
nobody ever says that in the NHL.
No,
That's like never a thing in the NHL.
Yeah, it can get pretty vulgar at some of the Grizzly games.
Yeah, if the minor leagues are a little bit more rowdy,
a little more chippy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
this has nothing to do with. Well, it does have to do with the Grizzlies. But we went to a Grizzlies game, and then right after they were doing the junior Grizzlies, like you were talking about. And two things. One thing, that game, they had some bad blood between each other. They obviously played each other before. So there was a lot of fights. But these are young kids, right? So you got parents in the crowd watching these guys, and they get emotional when they see their kid fighting. So they started like taunting and yelling at the you know what I mean? So it was like me and my buddy were like, let's leave because there's going to be a big brawl in the crowd and we might get involved. You know what I mean? Even though we had no dog in the fight, no bear in the fight, but
there you
go. But the fun thing too about hockey, especially these lower leagues, is like Matt kind of mentioned, is like they play in the weekends, but they'll play like the same team 3 to 4 nights in a row, right?
Yep.
To save on cost. So if Matt and I are playing against each other, he's on the Grizzlies, I'm on the opponent's team, and we have bad blood from the game before, we might start fighting as soon as they drop the puck in the next game because we carried over from next. So that's kind of fun to see. Like you go to a game and it might be the third game of that weekend blitz and you have no idea what happened the game before, but all of a sudden they drop the puck and both teams just start fighting each other to get it out of their system because it was from the game prior. So
yeah,
and that's kind of fun too. If you do go to like the third or fourth game after like stuff really starts to heat up, then you start seeing some good fights and some good checks and all that good stuff. So
which is really why we like it. The fights.
We go for the fights. We go for the popcorn.
Not the churros. I had a churro and it was terrible. That I'll reserve that conversation for our East Center / Maverick Center episode. But don't go for the churros. You know what I was
always get as a kid every time we went? Dippin' Dots.
Oh boy. And that is a good place for us to end the episode. Thanks for coming, Matt.
Thanks for having me. I'm going to go enjoy some Dippin' Dots now.
Oh my gosh.
It's on my mind.
And this is officially our podcast telling the world, bring a hockey team an NHL hockey team to Utah very soon. I mean, I'm excited for the prospect alone, but just for the fact that I get to win a bet with Matt is reason enough for me.
I think you're just poking the bear, the grizzly bear, right now.
Maybe.
I have been advised by my lawyer not to talk about this as well, because the evidence is very clear of what our bet was, and so I can't say any more than that for now. But maybe the story will come out once everything's settled in court.
Maybe. Until then, thanks for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
And this was a sport team we just talked about. Go Grizz!
Grisby.
Shoot the puck.